Denver, 1869. The 59-year gold rush was in less of a rush, but there was still enough gold and silver to keep the mines open and plenty of miners to work them. Apart from the fact that it was bigger than most, there was little about Denver to distinguish it from other frontier boom towns. It looked about the same. It sounded about the same.
Get down off of that buggy!
And Denver had one other thing in common with those frontier towns. It was a bad place to be sick or hurt.
Well, there wasn't much in the way of doctoring in those days. My daddy used to tell me that if you got hurt and they couldn't splinter or amputate, you was in trouble for sure.
1869. And the railroads were laying track. Railroad gangs were laying steel south out of Cheyenne. By 1870, they'd be in Denver. The railroad set up its Denver headquarters at what is now 40th and Larimer. There, they built their main roundhouse and machine shops and set about managing their business in this part of the West. And business was good. It boomed. One of the problems that faced Union Pacific officials was providing health care for their employees. They needed a hospital, and Denver seemed a good place to build it. In 1883, the 66-bed Union Pacific Hospital opened its doors at 40th and York Streets. What a fine hospital it was. 3 vine-covered stories surrounded by parkland and housing the latest in medical equipment. As up-to-date as it was, a problem remained. There was no one to staff it. Denver teemed with miners, gamblers, hucksters, bartenders, teamsters, cattlemen, and tradesmen, but very few nurses and hospital administrators.
You mean to tell me we built a 3-story hospital and you can't find 3 nurses?
Well, not exactly. That isn't what I said exactly.
To help solve their problem, the Union Pacific turned to the Most Reverend Joseph R. Matchbook, the first bishop of Colorado. The bishop thought he might be able to help. He knew that in order of nuns, the Poor Sisters of St. Francis Seraph of Perpetual Adoration had a colony in Lafayette, Indiana. The order, originally from Germany, was dedicated to health care. Bishop Matchbook wrote them a letter. Upon receipt of the bishop's letter, the sisters conferred. Letters between Indiana, Union Pacific, and Bishop Matchbook were exchanged. The sisters conferred again. Only one small problem remained.
Ich bitte eure Aufmerksamkeit. Wir gehen nach Colorado. Lasst uns beten.
They didn't speak English.
Wo in der Welt ist Colorado? Warum gehen wir nach Colorado? Wie weit ist es?
But they understood medicine. They understood, too, that they were needed. That was enough for them.
The Sisters of St. Francis heard the pleas for caring, and with St. Anthony, their love showed them the way. They had a dream.
The 7 Franciscan sisters worked at the Union Pacific Hospital for 6 years, helping to provide medical care to the workers and their families. But there were others who needed their help. Denver's population jumped in a few short years from 30,000 to 100,000. The sisters felt that their works of charity and mercy could be better met, and more people could be served, if they had a hospital of their own. The sisters conferred. And a decision was reached. They would build their own hospital on the highlands above Denver.
Und so, Herr Bischof, Sie können uns helfen.
Bishop Matz, who had succeeded Bishop Matchbook, was stunned.
Ein Krankenhaus. Ein Krankenhaus. Ein Hospital.
The immediate problem was money, or lack of money. The sisters set about fundraising, and in the best fundraising tradition, they went to where the money was.
Für die Krankenhaus.
Krankenhaus?
Hospital.
Oh, hospital. Hey, Annie up for the Krankenhaus.
They went to the mining camps in Central City and Blackhawk, to Idaho Springs and Silver Plume. They became familiar figures in the gold and silver camps, and at the Union Pacific Paymaster's boxcar on paydays.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh, let's get some red-eyed, see if the faro table's open. Yeah, oh, howdy, sister. Give the sister something, Curly. Curly?
Dankeschön. 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 Dankeschön.
They raised the money. In spite of broken English, mule rides on bad roads, wild weather, they raised the money. Now they needed a place to build. They bought land west of Denver, near what is now Sloan's Lake. And in 1892, the cornerstone was laid. Less than a year later, the building was completed. There was never any doubt about the name. They called it St. Anthony's, and the reason for its existence was easy to define. It was there to meet the health needs of Denver's growing population. At the turn of the century, St. Anthony's had 2 operating rooms, 20 doctors, and 48 sisters on staff. There was even electricity, at least until 9 o'clock at night, and a gong in the entryway to announce the arrival of the doctors. As new advances in medical technology became available, they were incorporated into the services of St. Anthony's, so that in the 20s, St. Anthony's became the first hospital in Denver to receive Class A accreditation from the American College of Surgeons.
And that's just one of many firsts St. Anthony's has to its credit. We were the first private hospital to be approved for training X-ray technicians, the first to provide 24-hour emergency room coverage, an emergency medical training program, one of the first to perform open-heart surgery. The list is pretty impressive.
Impressive? Yes. It's a list of accomplishments that has grown over the years, a list that shows our commitment to meeting the changing needs of our community. Nearly 30 years ago, we installed a self-care unit, then a dental clinic, a radioisotope laboratory, an EEG laboratory, and in the mid-60s, an intensive coronary unit. The installation of this facility at St. Anthony's reduced our mortality rate due to heart disease, and the rate was reduced even further with the completion of the cardiovascular laboratory in 1968. From the battlefields of World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, we learned that helicopters could be used to transport critically wounded soldiers. The hospital's administration began to explore the possibilities of using this same type of transport during peacetime to assist accident victims in rural communities. In 1972, the possibilities became a reality. A helipad was constructed, and the Flight for Life program was inaugurated. Flight nurses were flown to automobile accidents, skiing and mountaineering accidents, and to rural communities where they could stabilize the sick and injured before transporting them back to the hospital.
Dr. Cromer, this is Flight Nurse 1. I'm transporting to your location a 38-year-old female who was involved in an automobile accident. On my arrival, the patient was unresponsive to all stimuli, unconscious and apneic, was being ambu-bagged. She's nasally intubated. She's got a flail chest.
The Flight for Life program, in cooperation with the state and local law enforcement agencies, is a community service which has served as the model for other communities to follow. In essence, the emergency room, that is, the fully equipped helicopter, is flown to the patient rather than flying the patient to the emergency room.
It was a concept that called for some changes in Colorado's Nurse Practice Act. The rules had to be changed so that we could perform certain life-saving tasks without the direct supervision of a doctor. Another St. Anthony first, by the way.
And here in the Communications Center is still another innovation in emergency medical treatment pioneered by St. Anthony's. We've got dispatchers specially trained in medical terminology to maintain, monitor, and record radio contact with over 90 user agencies, including 40 ambulance services, a dozen hospitals, 24 law enforcement agencies, and 20 fire departments on 15 radio frequencies. They're on the job round the clock, 24 hours a day.
Yes, these are impressive medical milestones. They reflect St. Anthony's continued dedication to providing service for the ever-expanding needs of our community. The population was also expanding, especially in the suburbs around Denver. St. Anthony's recognized the need for another hospital and became the first private hospital in Denver to build a satellite. This 194-bed hospital in Westminster, which opened in 1971. St. Anthony's also maintains 2 clinics in the mountains of Colorado. one in Frisco and another in Granby.
Oh, we were real glad to see those clinics, I can tell you. Of course, you always hope you'll never have to use them, but it is comforting to know they're there when you need them.
Our face has changed over the years as we have improved our facilities to better serve the community. But our original reasons for being here have not changed at all. To bring comfort and help to the sick and needy, to alleviate human suffering, and to pursue an ideal of medical excellence. With 2,500 employees and 698 licensed beds, St. Anthony's is the largest private hospital in Colorado. As such, it offers a full range of healthcare services.
Obstetrics and pediatrics.
General hospital care units, of course, plus surgical, medical, and coronary intensive care units.
Complete support systems, radiology, pathology, cardiopulmonary, physical therapy, and occupational therapy.
St. Anthony's is a poison center.
And a regional emergency, trauma, and medical center.
The efforts of 750 highly trained physicians and the staff at St. Anthony's, representing all medical specialties, are enhanced by some of the most sophisticated technologies and equipment available to the medical profession. A full-body CT scanner, a linear accelerator, laser surgery facilities, radiation therapy, nuclear medicine, biomedicine, neurotrauma, and more. Our Baramedical Department opened in March 1984 and houses 2 special pressurized oxygen chambers. These hyperbaric oxygen treatment chambers can be very beneficial to patients suffering carbon monoxide and cyanide poisoning, gas gangrene, decompression sickness, and crush-type injuries. St. Anthony's Central is home to Denver's Magnetic Resonance Imaging Center, one of the safest, most painless diagnostic technologies available. Through MRI, pictures are made of the body's internal structures. These images are used to evaluate the presence or the absence of disease. The medical community is most enthusiastic about MRI because of its ability to diagnose certain diseases earlier and more thoroughly than other techniques. St. Anthony's has been quick to respond to a changing environment with new programs for many, many special needs. Our pain program helps people deal with the frustrations and difficulties of chronic and sometimes debilitating pain. Work Dynamics is designed to get people suffering accidents and illnesses back to work quickly and safely. Rehabilitation services that include 8 special programs help clients adjust to and recover from disabling injuries and illnesses. And our extensive psychiatric unit helps people in emotional crisis or illness. Today, hospitals face a new crisis, one of spiraling medical, personnel, and administrative costs. St. Anthony's is intimately familiar with the economic realities of medical care today. Our foremost concern is developing new alternatives in healthcare, alternatives that offer quality healthcare in the most cost-effective ways possible. We're achieving this goal. St. Anthony's same-day surgery unit is designed for patients whose surgeries are too involved for the physician's offices, yet not serious enough to require an overnight hospital stay. The highest quality care is provided in a warm, personalized atmosphere at a cost substantially lower than inpatient care. Our home health care program was developed on one very important principle. Many people recover more quickly and more comfortably at home, surrounded by the people who love them. Home health care is not a daycare program. It's a service for homebound people of all ages and disabilities who need skilled medical care, therapies, and other services. The doctor remains at the center of the program, developing treatment and evaluating reports. In obstetrics, we offer a variety of contemporary, sensitive, and cost-saving alternatives. At St. Anthony's North, low-risk and most high-risk mothers can elect the LDR choice, to labor, deliver, and recover in one room. Birthing rooms at St. Anthony's Central provide a home-like environment where couples experience the miracle of birth together, from labor through delivery. We recognize particular services may be better provided by another hospital. The Children's Hospital of Denver has the best reputation for high-risk child care in the Rocky Mountain region. When children's needed room to expand, we provided the necessary space at St. Anthony's. Shared services was an economically sound decision. As well, mothers receive the ultimate in birthing care from Children's and St. Anthony's. The pioneering spirit of our 7 founding sisters is still very much alive.
It was all miracles, you might say. Miracles, right from the beginning.
And as we pioneer still more medical innovations, those miracles will continue. We're committed to providing quality health service to our community. Through the continued effort, expertise, and cooperation of its medical staff, hospital personnel, and with the support of its community, St. Anthony's will play a leading role in shaping the future of healthcare. The men and women of St. Anthony's, we serve because we care.
The Sisters of St. Francis heard the pleas for caring, and with St. Anthony, their love showed them the way. Pioneers with all the rest, they changed the lives of many, with steady hands and gentle hearts, healing those in pain. They had a dream of faith and courage, and the miracles their faith could bring. They had a dream to be the best, to care for us. Their love shines on us all. Today, it's a different world. There's more who need our care. A new world of technology, the future brought to bear. But we stay